an influencer with 2 million followers, a luxury Miami penthouse paid for by an OnlyFans empire. It's a world of glamour that came to a violent, bloody end on April 3, 2022. That's when police responded to a chaotic 911 call and found Courtney Clenny covered in blood and her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli, dying from a single stab wound to his chest. Right from the start, her story was one of self-defense. She insisted that he attacked her, that she was terrified, fighting for her life, that she was the real victim in all of this.
But as we're about to see, prosecutors say a security camera tucked away in the building's elevator tells a completely different story.
Okay, let's go back to that night. The call comes from One Paraiso. We're talking one of the most exclusive, high-end buildings in Miami. The initial reports are just chaos, but one thing is very clear. Something incredibly violent has happened inside that penthouse. And the scene that first responders walk into is, well, it's horrific. Clenny is there, they put her in handcuffs, she's hysterical, and Christian is on the floor with this devastating wound to his chest.
It sounds like just absolute carnage.
So to really get a handle on what happened that night, you have to look at the months leading up to it. Clenny's claim of self-defense, well, it didn't just appear out of nowhere. By all accounts, this was a deeply, deeply toxic and volatile relationship. And this is really where the two sides draw their battle lines. The defense is going to paint a picture of Christian as a violent, terrifying abuser. But the prosecution, they're arguing that Courtney was the one who was consistently violent, and they claim they have the proof. The history here it's pretty disturbing. We know police had been called to their apartment multiple times for domestic disputes. They were actually evicted from their last apartment because of all the fighting.
Wait, hold on. So police had been there before, and it was the neighbors who said they usually heard Courtney yelling, and friends are on record saying he was afraid of her? That really turns that whole self-defense claim on its head.
Exactly. And this is where the prosecution presents what they believe is their single most damning piece of evidence. It's not a witness statement you can argue with. It's just raw, objective video captured in the building's elevator just 2 months before Christian died. All right, let's just break down exactly what this footage shows. Courtney gets in the elevator first, he follows a moment later, and right away her body language is all aggression. She's jabbing at the buttons. There's no obvious provocation from him at all. Then she turns and just unleashes on him. It's not a single shove. She's hitting him, pushing him. At one point she grabs him by the hair and yanks his head down. It is a clear, one-sided physical assault. And the whole time this is happening, he never hits back. He's just trying to fend her off, to shield himself. He never once physically retaliates.
Wow. He doesn't even fight back. That video, that changes everything. It shows a documented pattern where she is the physical aggressor in that relationship.
Which brings us right back to the night of the murder. Because with that elevator footage now casting so much doubt on her story, the focus shifts to the physics of the killing itself, and her explanation for how the knife ended up in Christian's chest, it's very specific. So this is her official account. She says he had her trapped against a wall, she was terrified for her life, and she just grabbed the closest weapon she could find. In a moment of pure panic, she says, she just threw it at him, a desperate, last-ditch effort to save herself. And she claims this throw happened from about 10 feet away. So we're not talking about a close-quarters struggle, according to her. We're talking about a weapon being thrown across the room. But then you have the autopsy report, and it shows that the knife blade went 3 inches deep into his chest.
3 inches? From a knife that she threw from 10 feet away?
And this is where the forensics become absolutely critical. The medical examiner found the knife entered his chest at a downward angle. It actually pierced one of his ribs and went 3 inches deep. The prosecution's argument is that it is physically almost impossible to generate that kind of force and accuracy from a 10-foot throw. A wound that deep sounds more like a powerful, close-range downward thrust. The physics of her story just don't seem to add up at all. So in the days and weeks right after Christian's death, Courtney Clenny was not arrested, and her actions during that time would become another major point of contention. She didn't stay in Miami. She got on a plane and flew to Hawaii. The timeline here is pretty stark. Just a few weeks after Christian dies, she's seen at a hotel bar in Hawaii, seemingly carefree. For the prosecution, that image suggests a complete lack of remorse. She was finally arrested 4 months later, not at a hotel, but at a rehab facility there.
And all of this was going on while Christian's family was planning his funeral? That's a detail that's just hard to look past.
All of this eventually leads to her arrest and extradition. The legal process begins, and she's brought back to Florida to finally face the consequences of what happened in that penthouse. The state of Florida is not treating this as a case of self-defense. They've charged her with second-degree murder. The legal term they use is that she acted with a depraved mind, which basically means she acted with ill will, hatred, or spite, and with no regard for human life. She has pleaded not guilty and is currently awaiting trial. And so ultimately, this is the question the jury will have to answer. You have that elevator footage. You have the forensic evidence that seems to contradict her story of the impossible throw. So was this really a battered woman fighting for her life? Or was this an influencer, someone used to controlling every single part of her image and her world, who finally lost control and killed the one person closest to her?